Act I, the ordinary man, the desert winds howled across the crumbling ruins of a forgotten kingdom. Sand whipped through the empty alleys, carrying whispers of an empire long turned to dust. In the small village of Kaf, hidden on the edge of the vast desert, lived a man named Azrael ibn Kadeem. He was not a warrior, not a king, not even a respected elder. He was simply a scribe, copying manuscripts in dimly lit corners of the village library. Azrael was frail, quiet, often mocked by the children and ignored by the strong. But behind his tired eyes burned a hunger not for food nor wealth, but for power, power to command respect, power to make the world bow before him. Every night after the village slept, he wandered into the archives, dusting scrolls forbidden to be read. Legends of Jinn, immortal beings made of smokeless fire, bound by neither time nor death. The elders said, to seek them is to seek your own destruction. But Azrael's heart whispered otherwise, to seek them is to rule the world. Act Roman 2, the forbidden book. One night, beneath the waning moon, Azrael's trembling hands uncovered a scroll unlike any other written in blood, its ink crawling like serpents across the parchment. It was called the Covenant of Asher, a grimoire that promised dominion over the Jinn. To invoke its power, one had to make a sacrifice, the tongue of truth, the heart of fear, and the soul of loyalty. Azrael laughed bitterly. He had no loyalty, no fear, no truth to protect. He only had ambition, and so, under the blood moon, he slit his palm, chanting the words. His blood hissed upon the earth, the sands trembled, the night split open. A figure rose from the desert smoke, a creature vast as mountains, with eyes burning like stars dying. Ifrit Malik, the king of fire, who dares summon me? The Jinn roared, shaking the earth. Azrael fell to his knees, trembling, but for the first time in his life, it was not in fear. It was in triumph. I am your master. Azrael whispered, bow before me. And the impossible happened. The Ifrit laughed a laugh that burned the sky, but he bowed. Azrael, the forgotten scribe, had bound the first of many Jinn. Act Roman 3, rise of the sorcerer days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Azrael no longer walked as a man. He walked as a sorcerer, cloaked in shadows, flames dancing in his wake. One by one, he summoned the Jinn merit of the seas, gulls of the graveyards, shaitans of the storms. He did not enslave them with chains, he enslaved them with his will, breaking their pride, binding them in blood, oaths. Villages fell silent when he passed. Armies bent their knees before his shadow. The name Azrael was no longer whispered with mockery, but with terror. He built a fortress of black stone in the desert's heart, Kaf al-Zulumat, the citadel of shadows. From its towers, his Jinn legions flew like storms. And yet, power breeds hunger. Azrael's eyes turned not only to the desert, but to the empires of men. The Caliphate of Andalus, the Kingdom of Byzantium, the Mongol Khans all trembled as the Sorcerer King's banners of fire rose on the horizon. Act Roman 4, the Empire of Blood War followed. The armies of men clashed with Azrael's legions, but spears could not pierce shadows. Swords could not cut fire. Entire kingdoms burned in a single night. Thrones were shattered like clay. Azrael's empire stretched wider than Alexander's, fiercer than Genghis, darker than any caliph. But he was not satisfied, for even as the world bowed, the whispers of the grimoire tormented him. The true throne is not of men, but of gods. And so Azrael sought the throne of Solomon, the legendary seat that once commanded every Jinn, every angel, every beast of the earth. Act V, the betrayal of shadows, but power breeds not only hunger, it breeds betrayal. Among Azrael's Jinn was one named Zariel, a Marid with eyes of sapphire flame. Unlike the others, Zariel bowed but never broke. He waited. He plotted. When Azrael sought the throne of Solomon, Zariel whispered poison into the ears of men. Kings who had bent the knee rose again. Priests called upon forbidden angels. The world united, not out of love, but out of fear. And so, the greatest war of history began, the war of shadows. Act VI, The final battle, the sky was fire. The earth split into rivers of blood. Azrael stood upon a mountain of corpses, his cloak drenched, his staff blazing with runes of flame. The armies of men 1,000,000 strong surged forward, led by priests chanting holy verses. The Jinn stormed the skies, fire against light, shadow against steel. For 7 nights the world burned, seas boiled, cities crumbled, and yet Azrael fought on. On the 7th night, beneath the ruins of Jerusalem, Azrael found it the throne of Solomon, hidden in caverns of crystal. But as he reached out, Zariel struck. "You are no king." The Merid hissed, "You are a slave to your own hunger." Azrael and Zariel clashed fire against water, darkness against light. The cavern shook as if the heavens themselves were tearing apart. At last, with a cry that split the stars, Azrael thrust his blade through Zariel's heart. The Merid fell, but so too did Azrael, for in slaying Zariel, the blood, oath unraveled, the Jinn were freed. Act Roman 7, the fall of the sorcerer, the Jinn rose, unchained, their hatred unbound. Azrael fought, oh, he fought like a god, but even gods fall when their legions turn. The Ifrit Malik, once his servant, laughed as he cast Azrael into the abyss. And so the sorcerer king fell, his empire crumbling in fire and ash. Act Roman 8, the legend centuries past. Kingdoms rose and fell, but in the desert they still whisper of Azrael ibn Kadeem, the man who bound the Jinn, who made empires tremble, who reached for the throne of Solomon and fell. Some say he still walks in the shadows of ruined palaces, his soul neither living nor dead, waiting for another fool to summon him. Others say his name is cursed, that even the Jinn shudder when it is spoken. But one truth remains: power does not free a man, power devours him.